Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for SteveArts89. This is my third attempt at doing this video because the other two descended into very, very insane rants, and I'm going to try and not do that this time. So, I had a look at TrekMovie.com today, and what did I see? Tawny Newsom says Starfleet Academy will appeal to Star Trek fans thanks to canon cops in the writer's room. How stupid do you think we are to fall for this again? How many times have you people started a Star Trek show and said, don't worry, because we know you're worried because of what you've already seen from us. We've got canon police or experts in the writer's room who are going to make sure everything's perfect, which they don't. Or if they do, they just hired them so they can say they hired them and then they actually didn't even have them in the room, or they fired them after a short amount of time. Essentially, they just did whatever they wanted, totally inconsistent, totally disrespected characters, canon, situations, lore, design, everything. And part of this was because they never had the full rights to Star Trek due to all these complications with the licensing that people don't even understand. They think they do. They come into the comment section and try to explain things to me, but they're ignorant and don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, none of it really matters for two reasons. One, they've actually acknowledged that it is a different timeline. So even if they're still lying about it being the same universe, it's still a different timeline anyway. So just like the JJ films, which, well, they're in a different universe as well, but the fact that they changed the timeline was enough to explain all the differences and give them freedom to do whatever they wanted, and that's what they've done with this. So I don't care anymore that the ship doesn't look like it's supposed to and that it's 200 feet longer than it's supposed to be or whatever, because it's a different timeline. I don't care that Kyle is supposed to be an older white man with like strawberry blonde hair or something is now like a young Asian guy, because maybe in the other timeline their son died and they adopted an Asian son and he went into Starfleet because his dad was in Starfleet, and so now he's Commander Kyle and he's an Asian guy. Who cares? I'm not bothered by diversity. I'm happy to have people of all colours and sexes and everything and all that and genders in Star Trek. It's not an issue. It never was. My issue with the new Star Trek was that they didn't respect canon, that they were insulting the fans, and it was making a mess of it. And you can't take something that people like me have lived with and know and change it and then say, no, this is how it was. This is what it's supposed to be. No, you're wrong. We know better than you, when you don't. Because we literally know more than you about Star Trek. You know nothing. Half the people know nothing. So yeah, it's just really baffling. And the other thing, of course, this is just beyond stupid, is there is no canon in the 31st century when they're supposedly setting the show after Discovery in the 31st century when they're rebuilding Starfleet, until he's gone off to be in Starfleet. Because they only had two good characters on the show. One that was a real like Star Trek character, which was Saru, and one was just a very likeable actress who created a very nice character. So they spun her off on her own show, and that's where Starfleet Academy is taking place. Now that's totally wrong. It should be taking place in the past, so we get to see characters like Kirk or Spock, or Riker and Picard going through their academy days, so we get to see them. And also it leads kids who perhaps, if they're not intelligent enough to appreciate actual science fiction and need a kids show or a teen show to engage them, they may actually then look to see where those characters went in the other series. So it may be a gateway show into the rest of Star Trek. But setting it in the 31st century for all new characters have nothing to do with any of the other Star Treks, it just defeats the whole point. But yeah, so there is no canon to maintain because nothing's happened yet. All that's happened we've seen in Discovery. There's nothing else to maintain. So it's just stupid on so many levels, and it's just purely there to condescend to us, people who already know that they don't know what they're doing. They're going to do, they're going to make a disaster out of the show. They're just trying to say to us, trying to pacify us and calm us down, and it's just condescending, insulting. And I hate Tawny Newsom, I really do. She's the reason Mariner is an awful character. If you took that character out of that show and replaced it with another character who's like a woman of colour but not her, it'd be a great show. I mean, the show is pretty good except for Mariner. Now they have rewritten her and given her this whole, they've explained her and tried to retcon her character and make her not a hideous thing that she is, but it's obviously doing that after the fact because they originally designed the character that way because they thought that was awesome. But yeah, she's awful. She's from a comedy background. She shouldn't be writing a drama. And the idea of writing a teen drama, because it's just condescending. It's just, if these people aren't intelligent enough to understand Star Trek, they're never going to be a fan, and they don't deserve to be. So how about we just make Star Trek for Star Trek fans instead of making it for stupid people and children and teenagers and people who hate science fiction and hate Star Trek. Because yes, there's more of them, but they're still not going to watch the show. No matter how much you degrade and twist Star Trek into something it never was, to get those people, you're never going to get them. You're just going to lose us. And you haven't worked that out yet. So yeah, managed to do the video without descending into a rant. Very proud, third attempt. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. God, I hope this show just doesn't end up being made. Please.